Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leisure and the Sober Curator to bring you the April 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Pisces. I like how I had to like fix my hair right before I said all of that. So it's like, oh, what's going on? My hair is always doing something crazy. Hi, Pisces. How are you? Welcome to April. It's April 1st today as I'm recording this, and we have a big Mercury retrograde in the cardinal fire sign of Aries, stationing today at 27 degrees. That is going to be influencing this entire month coming ahead of us. So like you're the last sign of me recording. I always start to kind of trip over my words, but I got all of these horoscopes started so early in the day that I am actually doing much better than I normally am by the time I get to you. Let's talk about this. So we start off the month with a lot of energy in your sign. So right now we currently have Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Neptune in Pisces. Venus was in Pisces last month. We were in your season for a bit last month. And then, Mars entered Pisces, and Mars is actually going to be in your sign of Pisces for the entire month of April. And the area that this is hitting in the chart is the area that has to do with your identity. So if you've been reflecting a lot on who you are to yourself and, kind of the relationship that you have to self and identity expression, Venus and Mars are here to kind of ramp that up. Venus is going to be leaving this area at the beginning of April, but she's already been here kind of helping you feel more at home in yourself. Maybe you've been, more interested in how you put yourself together, your looks, those types of things. Venus passing through the first house of the self, we tend to really care a lot about our image, to ourselves, though not necessarily to the public. It's more about, am I looking in the mirror and liking what I see? What's my relationship to my own beauty? How do I love myself? What's my relationship to self-care, self-love, all of that? And with Mars here, there's a lot of active energy. So Mars is the planet that rules war, action, or willpower, wherever we feel kind of this inclination towards pushing something forward. And the identity is the theme for you for the month of March in that way. But all this Aries energy that we have is also adding to that. So the area of the chart that we've got the sun in Aries, North Node Aries, Chiron in Aries, and then this Mercury retrograde in Aries is the area that rules money. So it's the second house. And this is the area that we have a relationship to material security and also self-worth. So finances, material security, self-worth all kind of go hand in hand, because what we make financially says a lot about, what we bring to the table, right? And so a lot of times our self-worth is kind of on, that money or that income that we have, what car do we drive? What clothes do we wear? Those types of themes come up around income. Also our sense of security, are we able to pay our bills? Are we able to, have a place to live that feels stable? Like those are all themes that are coming up for us during that time if we're Pisces dominant. So Mercury is going to be retrograde here for most of the month. And, then at the end of the month, when it's not retrograde anymore, we're still going to have this shadow here. And so we're going to be in a reflect, review, reassess process around those themes. How am I making my money? How do I feel worthy of what I'm creating in my life? What's my relationship to self-worth? And Venus is going to be really highlighting those themes starting April 4th. So she moves into Aries and she moves into that house, the second house that she actually traditionally rules, the second house. And so Venus here is really positive for money. It's positive for finding ways to generate more of it. More of it comes into our life. It's also positive for figuring out ways to feel more worthy of what we want out of life and reflecting on self-worth. Her in the first house already kind of has us reflecting on those things. And then in the second house, it starts to bleed more into our sense of, security and what we feel like we're financially worth in this life right now. On April 8th, we're going to have a solar eclipse at 19 degrees of Aries, and that's going to be conjunct Chiron in this same area of the chart. So that second house area. And so again, the theme around, how much money am I making? Am I generating enough money to have the life that I want? And what changes need to potentially happen or be made to kind of move more in the direction that I want to move in. That's a huge theme for you during that solar eclipse. And I think that this house, like if we have a scarcity mindset or we have any issues with money that, are deep seated, this eclipse could bring that up and kind of, ask us what is preventing us from moving forward in life in the ways that we want to. What narratives or different stories are we telling ourselves that are not necessarily promoting the direction that we want to move in? And how do we get rid of that so that we can move in the direction that we want to? And so you're in a period of really reassessing those things and kind of figuring it out. And you might feel, with Mars in the first house during the month, you actually might feel really confident about knowing your worth. You might be going into a territory where you're like, no, I need a raise, I need a promotion, I know my value, I know my worth, and I'm ready to fight for it. That's also very much in alignment with the Mercury retrograde in Aries, fighting for your value, fighting for your worth, knowing your worth. Especially with Venus here too. Venus is like, I know what I want, I know who I am, and I need to ask for it. That could also be a theme for a lot of Piscean people. As we get moving through the month, the sun is going to leave Aries and enter Taurus on the 19th. And this is going to be the area of the chart that represents communication. And I really like this transition because the sun was in the second house in Aries, and the second house is traditionally ruled by Taurus. And you're, finding your voice in terms of advocating for yourself during April around what you believe you're worthy in. And then when the sun moves into the house of communication in the sign of Taurus, you might be ready to really own what you feel like you're worth. I'm going to share an anecdote because I tend to do Pisces horoscopes a lot quicker. I don't give you guys as much attention sometimes as I give the other signs because by the time I get to your video, I'm pretty tired. But I'm just going to share an anecdote where I started a job recently because I needed it. I really needed the job because I have bills to pay and I'm running out of money. Please book an astrology or tarot session with me because I need money. I got hired at this job, and the hourly out of the jobs that I had been looking at was better than what most people were willing to offer. There were some other things that weren't that great, but I was like, this is better. It's still not great, but it's better. And then I went to the job and it wasn't a good fit at all. Like I was like, this is not something that I want to do every day. And I can't, like, I physically cannot handle this job. And there would be too many things that would have to be changed to accommodate me. And I didn't want to go into somebody else's business and be like, you need to change all these things to accommodate me. Otherwise, I'm not going to work here. So it was like, I think this is just not a good fit. So I left. But when I did the math, like I did the math of my commute, I did the math of the whole day and the amount of work that I would be doing, it didn't add up for me. Like I was still going to be struggling financially, but I was going to be working harder than I've ever worked before in certain ways. And the math didn't add up. And so for me, it was really hard to walk away from something knowing my worth, but I'm not 25, I'm 34 and I'm going to be 35 this year. And I'm telling the universe, I'm saying like, I'm not 25 anymore. I can't do these types of jobs. Like I need my education level and the work and the experience level I have. I'm in this other bracket now, and I only need to be doing work and taking jobs that are fitting the direction that I need to go in my life. And even though I'm somewhat desperate, I'm not, in a position where I can fill my time up to that extent where I don't even have the energy to find the job that would pay me enough, if I'm going to work that much. So I think those are those reflections, kind of like those second house reflections that happen where we really are in that, kind of space of like, how much money do I need? How much do I feel like I'm worth based off of who I am? When I was in my 20s and not experienced in certain things, it was a different frequency of energy than being in your 30s and now having a lot of experience and education in certain things, right? Like there's kind of like a equal sign to how much you feel like you're worth in that way. And so that's kind of what I'm anecdotally sharing that because that's a journey that Pisces is on right now, is that you have this opportunity to really reflect in April on that. And when the sun moves into Taurus, you're going to have a lot more confidence in advocating for those things for yourself. On the 23rd, we're going to have a full moon at 4 degrees of Scorpio that's going to be opposing the sun in that area. And the Scorpio moon is going to be in the 9th house, which is the house that rules our values and belief systems, our connection to spirituality and religion, cultural studies, also long distance travel. And with the full moon here, we might be really longing to seek some new level of understanding in life, whether it's in an education program or even if it's like traveling and going somewhere, or it could be this internal spiritual journey where our values and belief systems spiritually are changing or shifting in some way. And we're kind of reflecting on that and ready to let go or move away from something in some way that, we've been feeling challenged by potentially. uh I think that the Scorpio full moon, because it's trining Pisces, is going to be a very like needed shift or release. Like I don't think it's going to be a negative thing. I think it's going to feel intense, but I think it's also going to be very like, yes, I feel myself going in this direction, I'm ready for it. After that, Mercury is going to station direct at 15 degrees of Aries on April 25th. And so this, I'm really excited, obviously, for Mercury to be direct and for us to kind of move through some of those feelings. Again, you're going to probably feel more confident in advocating for yourself around what you feel like you're worthy of on all the fronts and all the ways, with this shift of energy. And then at the end of the month, Venus is going to enter Taurus on the 29th and join that third house of communication. So, I'm getting deja vu actually saying this, but Pisces, this month is really, really, really about you reflecting on your self-worth and learning how to ask for it, learning how to advocate for it, learning how to say, I know I'm worthy of X, Y, and Z things financially, independently, materially, then I'm going to go out and get it and I'm going to make it happen and I'm going to feel confident in making it happen. But it's really important to remember that with the retrograde energy, we're not going to feel anything solidify probably until May, where we're going to be in Taurus season. Mars is going to enter this area. And, Mars in the second house isn't the best energy, but we'll talk about that next month. It is really good in Aries. So we're at least able to direct more of our willpower to go after those things that we want more effectively. And so we'll be getting into more of how to utilize that once May happens. But if you liked this video, please feel free to hit the like, subscribe button. I do these every month for the Sober Curator and the Lady of Leisure. You can also book a session with me by emailing me. My email's in that little description box at the bottom. And I offer tarot and astrology sessions one-on-one right now. I'm accepting new clients. So yeah, feel free to book a reading for me if you want this to be more, if you want a reading that pertains to you directly, more unique to you. And I guess I will leave you there because I'm just starting to jumble all of my words and stumble all over myself. But good luck, and I will see you guys all in May.